My dear students, welcome to E-Pathshala. I am Professor R.B. Bhagat from International Institute for Population Sciences, and today we will be discussing about push-pull factor and the contribution of Evert-Lage migration theory in understanding the push-pull of migration. As you know, people migrate from one place to another for variety of reasons. But fundamental reason for movement is seeking livelihood. There are other reasons for migration. Some of people migrate for education, marriages, etc. So migration is a form of spatial mobility between one place to another. And in this process, push and pull factor determine the process of migration. Push and pull factor links between origin and the place of destination. Push-pull factors are basic to the understanding of migration processes. Push factors are conditions that can drive people to leave their home, and they are forceful and relate to the geographical unit from which a person migrates. On the other hand, pull factors are exactly the opposite of push factors. They are factors that attract people to a certain location. Some of the push factors are poverty, rapid population growth, unemployment, famine, drought, conflict and discrimination, political fear and persecution, poor medical care, lack of educational facility, and natural disasters. These factors compel people to move from the area of origin and search for livelihood or reasons for migration in the area of destination. And on the other hand, we have pull factors. So some of the pull factors are job opportunities, better living conditions, land to settle and agriculture, political and religious freedom, better education and welfare system, better transportation and communication, attractive, serene and scenic place, better medical care and security. So there are large number of pull factors and also there are large number of push factors. All these factors together and in combination determines the migration processes. Push and pull factor tells us who migrates, why people migrate, and where people migrate. And therefore, push and pull factor gives us a combination, a number of factors. But these factors are not woven together in terms of any theory, and there is a need to weave them together in terms of theory. So what we find in migration literature, that most of the migration theories struggle to incorporate push and pull factors. And one of the earliest contribution is known as laws of migration propounded by Ravenstian in 1885, and this contribution emphasized the pull factors in relation to the push factor. Ravenstian was a great believer in pull factor, and Ravenstian remarked, the migration means life and progress. A sedentary population is stagnation. Ravenstian was pioneer in developing the laws of migration based on census data of United Kingdom pertaining to the year 1881. Later on, he extended his theory to whole of Europe and propounded some of the laws of migration. According to Ravenstian, industrialization and commercialization are great pull factors of migration. His other conclusions are migration declines with distance, migration occurs in stages, and every system of migration produces counter streams. And these laws of migration were tested in later theories, and these were related with pull factors. We find that push and pull factor are more clearly and elaborately included in Everett Lee's theory of migration. And Lee's theory of migration has four important headings. One is factors associated with the area of origin, factors associated with the area of destination, intervening obstacles, and personal characteristics. As I already discussed, that factors associated with areas of origin are basically push factors, and factors associated with areas of destination are pull factor. But pull and push are not sufficient, but there are other factors called intervening obstacles and also factors, personal factors. I will explain all these in just in a while. Now this chart explains how area of origin and area of destination are related in terms of four factors that we have mentioned. So in both areas of origin and areas of destination, there are some positive factors and negative factors. So when we look at areas of origin, positive factors wants to withhold people in the area of origin, where the negative factors impel people to go out of the area. There are neutral factors which neither affects people to be in the place or motivates them to go out. Similarly, these positive, negative and neutral factors are also working in the areas of destination. So there are in destination there are positive factors which attracts people, and there are negative factors that repulses people to go back to area of origin, and there are negative factors. Because of this, we find that when there is a stream, there is a counter stream. So what is a stream of migration? A stream of migration means that a group of people, not individual, a group of people moving from one place to another. So that will be a stream, and counter stream will be people moving from the destination to the area of origin. Best example of stream and counter stream will be given from the example of rural to urban migration. People are moving from rural area to urban area. Rural areas are origin, urban areas are destination. So rural to urban migration is a very important form of migration, but there is a counter stream. From urban area also people move to rural area. So every stream has a counter stream. Now whether a stream is stronger or counter stream is stronger, it depends upon how the factors are operating in the areas of origin and area of destination. We find that counter stream is weaker and stream is always stronger. So that's why people move in large number, but people return in smaller number. In between the two, there are intervening obstacles, and these intervening obstacles are not related to area of origin, but it are outside of the area of origin. It may be cost of migration, it may be policy related. What are the barriers in preventing migration? And once a migrant overcomes these obstacles, migration becomes an outcome. So intervening obstacles are basically cost, transport related barriers, and policy related issues. And apart from all these three factors, there is one more factor called personal factor, and personal factors are the characteristics of migrants' age, sex, educational level, income level, access to wealth, land. All these personal factors, economic, social characteristics, demographic characteristics of migrants, that also affects or negotiates among the factors which are related to area of origin and area of destination, and also shapes or modifies or overcome the intervening obstacles. Let me explain with example. In every area there are countless factors which act to hold people. Please remember the diagram which I have just shown, and with positive sign, negative sign and neutral signs. And in that respect, every area there are countless factors which act to hold people within the area or attract people to it. And there are others which tend to repel them. These are shown in the diagram as plus and minus signs. There are others shown as O, to which people are essentially indifferent. Some of these factors affect most people in much the same way, while the others affect different people in different ways. Thus, a good climate is attractive and bad climate is repulsive to nearly everyone. But a good school system may be counted as a plus by a parent with a young children, and a minus by a house owner with no children because of high real estate taxes, indentured, while an unmarried male without taxable property is indifferent to the situation. So what this explanation presents is that there are plus positive aspects, there are negative aspects, and there are neutral aspects or factor in both areas of origin and destination, and combination of outcomes decides about the migration. Now these factors, the four factors, influences or determines certain trend and pattern of migration. And one of the trend and pattern of migration is the volume and rate of migration. We must make distinction between what is volume and what is rate of migration. Volume is simply the number of people moving, and rate of migration in relation to the base population at origin, to what is the percentage of people who are moving. If we say like this, it will be rate of migration. If we say that 100,000 or 200,000 people are moving, that is volume of migration. But the volume of migration doesn't tell anything unless we say about rate of migration. What is the base population from which people are migrating? So Lee's contribution or Lee's theory explains that volume and rate of migration increases as an economy develops. And as an economy develops, it becomes diverse, both in terms of economic characteristics, social characteristics, and more the diversity in an area, the more will be the volume and rate of migration. So it is with economic growth and expansion of transport, communication and technological changes that we find that volume and rate of migration increases. Okay, I have already explained to you there are four important factors in Lee's theory of migration, and these were characteristics or factors related to the place of origin, factors related to the place of destination, and intervening obstacles, and finally the personal characteristics. I have explained in detail all these factors. Now I come to the point that what happens to trend and pattern of migration in relation to all these factors, all four factors. While all these factors, four factors, tells us why people migrate and where people migrate. Now, to what extent people migrate, that can be known as trend and pattern of migration, and there are few hypotheses which are related to this aspect of migration, and now I will discuss about them. So first is volume and rate of migration. So these are two words or two terms, two ways of looking the migration trend. Volume means absolute number of migrants. So from one place to another, number of migrants, for example 100,000 or 200,000 or millions moving from one place to another, that is volume of migration. But volume of migration doesn't tell about the base population. And when we relate with base population or population of the area of origin, then we get rate of migration. Rate of migration is very simple, and this is in terms of percentage of people migrating. So percentage of migrant in relation to the area of origin. So both, according to Lee, both volume and rate of migration increases as development increases. So what happens with development? With development, economic growth takes place, and we have expansion of transport, communication, there are technological changes, and all these factors lead to diversity, social and economic diversity of area. So according to Lee, as diversity increases, both volume and rate of migration increases. Now second is the stream and counter stream, that is rural to urban or urban to rural. So stream and counter stream also increases as development takes place, economic growth takes place, and transport, communication and technological changes. Because of that, information circulates. Now people come to know where are the opportunities available, and also means of movement also is available. And as a result, more people migrate, we have more social network, and the social network facilitates again the linkage between area of origin and area of destination. As a result, the stream increases, stream of migration increases, and so the counter stream of migration may also increase. The third important concept or outcome of trend and pattern of migration is the migration efficiency. And migration efficiency is measured in terms of net migration. And net migration depends upon the characteristics of area. So what is net migration? Net migration means that every area has in migration and out migration. So what is balance? Is it net out migrating or net in migrating? Is it adding to the population of the place, or it is deducting the population of the place? So net migration can be negative, it can be positive, and based on that, migration efficiency is measured. Higher the net migration, higher will be the efficiency, particularly the positive aspects of migration. Lastly, migration is a selective process. Everybody doesn't migrate, and people are positively selected and negatively selected. When people are positively selected, it means that the pull factor has important role to play, and there are benefits that people perceive and people migrate, and there are negative factors, negatively selected, when people want to save themselves for their survival, and because of push factor, this results into negative selection. Now positive selection and negative selection, apart from them, there are other life cycle events that also decides about the migration process. So people are born and children move along with their parents. Children do not decide about, but the parents decide about the movement of the children. Then the decisions about education. For education, many students move from one place to another, and also for marriage. So there are variety of life cycle events that influence migration process, and as a result, migration is a selective process. So what we find that Lee's theory of migration gives a very comprehensive theorization of push and pull factor, but the precise measurement is lacking. In terms of modeling, we have large number of factors. Which factor is affecting at what stage of economic development, that cannot be said from the understanding of Lee's theory of migration. However, it gives a very comprehensive understanding of combining the factors, and it is not only confined to push and pull, which are related with areas of origin and areas of destination, but also intervening obstacles and personal characteristics. And personal characteristics are very important in migration process because it adds to migration agency. What we find that in push-pull factor, let us take example poor. Poverty is a push factor. Poor people migrate, that's true, but all poor people do not migrate. Only some poor people migrate. Now this is negotiated by the personal factor. So this is a great contribution of Everett Lee, that push and pull is not sufficient in advancing our understanding of migration, but we need to have personal characteristics, and then intervening the cost of migration, intervening obstacle, that is cost of migration, and there are policy issues at the destination like migration policies, migrants are discouraged, there are sons of soil factors, and there are anti-migrant sentiments. All these are intervening obstacles that also shapes migration process, migration outcome. So what we see that it is a very comprehensive theory, includes social, economic and political processes, but in terms of measurement, the precise measurement is lacking. Which factor influences the most, and also whether the factors at the place of destination are more important or place of origin are more important. So in that respect, there are other theories which enlightens us about the nature of migration, but this is very pioneer theory and we must understand it in depth in order to understand the other theories of migration. And we have other theories of migration, and just to invoke some of your interest which are more precise in measurement, that is Harris-Tadaro model of migration, which explains and measures migration from rural to urban area. That will be discussed in separate module, but just here it will be sufficient to mention that this particular model gives very comprehensive, and one can deduce the precise content and the model of migration. One can build model of migration out of the factor advanced or propounded by Everett Lee. So Everett Lee was a pioneer and he has made great contribution in understanding push-pull factor, in systematically organizing these factors in terms of 4 domains of factors, bringing the issues of structure and agency together. In social sciences, we have certain structure which are determinant, structural factors are determining, but structural factors like place of origin and place of destination, factors related with place of origin and place of destination are structural factors. Structural factors alone may not be sufficient, so that's why we have personal factors, the agency. So in more theoretical advancement, we can see this theory in terms of how it combines in terms of structure and agency in producing migration. So in other modules, there are other several theories which will be covered, and in next module we will discuss about Harris-Todaro model of rural to urban migration. Thank you very much.